Good morning, Year 3. It's Tuesday, the 2nd of March, and welcome to today's reading lesson. We're going to begin straight away with you reading some words. I'm going to hold them up to the screen. I want you to say them aloud at home. So no need to write this down. I'm going to begin with Chile 1. School. The. Love. Once. They. Are. And last one. She. Chile 2 then. I'm ready. Improve. Our. Parents. Father. Plant. Shore. Okay, Chile 3 then. Hummed. Saddest. Happier. Hopeless. Joyful. Babies. Well done, Year 3. So today I'm going to pose a series of questions to you based on vocabulary found within this text. This is going to be an our turn, so we're going to read it together. And when an opportunity presents itself for a question, I'm going to stop, I'm going to put the question on the screen for you. I'm going to answer it, and then we'll continue reading the story. This is how I want you to set out your work. So first of all, at the top of your piece of paper, I want you to write today's date. So Tuesday, 2nd of March, and then for your title, if you write reading a dash, and then the name of the book we're looking at today, How to Save a Superhero. Okay, then of course underline your date and your title, like so. and put a number 1 ready to answer when that first question comes along. But for now, prepare yourself to read with me because it's our turn to read. Let's do that now. I love doing jigsaws, and this Astro Man one is my favourite. I'm just hunting for the last piece when I'll be... It's Mum. Just look at the state of your room, she says. If you can tidy up before this rings, I'll take you out for ice cream. Tick, tick, tick. So once you've made your choice, you've analysed the 3 different options, make your choice, and this is how you should record it. So whichever letter you are going for, so if you think that it's A, write down A, and then the description that goes along with it. So Mum is pleased with how tidy room is. If you think that that one is the answer, it may not be. Let's carry on reading. Quick as a flash, I pull on my cloak and mask. This is a job for Albie the Awesome, I say. Suddenly, swoosh! Something swoops past me, grabs my last jigsaw piece and dives into the wardrobe. Hey! I cry. That's mine! Without thinking, I dive in after them. Whoa! Down, down, down I fall, tumbling through the darkness. Help! Suddenly, a gloved hand grips mine. Got you! It's a flying girl. I'm Scoot, says the girl. My brother Rascal stole your jigsaw piece. He's taking it to the collector. Who's that? I ask. Scoot replies, she's a naughty scoundrel, up to no good. I cling to Scoot's hand as we swoop in and out of the skyscrapers, far above a busy city. There he is, shouts Scoot. Rascal, stop! But Rascal flies to a tall clock tower and disappears inside. We peer through a keyhole. It's the collector's lair. She snatches my puzzle piece from Rascal. Uh-oh. It's the wrong piece, the collector scowls. Now I'll never finish my masterpiece and it's all your fault. Please don't be angry, says Rascal. I thought we were friends. Not anymore, growls the collector. She picks up a pen and points it at Rascal. Sweet dreams, sucker. Oh no, gasps Scoot. A snooze ray. Fast as lightning, she dives through the keyhole, but... Kazam! Pow! Zap! The snooze ray hits her and she drops to the ground. Oh no! Scoot is in a deep sleep. Rascal is in danger. I have to do something, and fast. Carefully, I wriggle in after Scoot. Wait! I say. The right piece could be here somewhere. If you unsnooze Scoot, we could all tidy up and find it. I don't need your help, growls the collector. Watch this. She fiddles with her remote control and the roof opens up. A strange machine splutters into life. It sucks up great gulps of toys and books and puzzles. Whoa! Then... Kablam! Ka-ching! Peow! The machine shoots the toys back out, straight onto shelves and into drawers and tubs. A toy tidier? I gasp. Awesome! Actually, it's a flying game grabber, says the collector. But until I find the right piece, it will only grab my toys. Aha! She smiles. This might be it. She fits it into the game grabber and it starts to fly. Now nobody will be able to stop me. Soon all the toys in the world will be mine, mine, mine. Ha 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 ha. Uh-oh. I leap on board and point the snooze ray at her. Turn this machine around now, I shout. Okay, she cries. Just put that thing down. When we land, I switch the snooze ray into reverse and point it at Scoot. Mazak, whop, paz! Scoot jumps to her feet in a fury. Don't worry, Albie has saved us, says Rascal. The clock chimes. Dong! Oh no, Mum's timer. I've got to go, I gasp. I'm meant to be tidying my own room. Rascal and Scoot glare at the collector. Well? Oh, all right, she says. I'll help you if you let me keep my machine. Hooray! We all jump onto the flying game grabber and head for home. Whoosh! Come on then, says Scoot. Show us what you can do. Whoa. In no time at all, my bedroom is neat and tidy. Yippee! Just as we finish, Mum opens my bedroom door. Wow, Albie, she gasps. Your room looks amazing. I smile at my new friends. Tidying up is easy when you use your superpowers, I say. Well done, Albie the Awesome, smiles Mum. Let's go and get that ice cream. I hope you enjoyed that story, Year 3, and I look forward to seeing your answers. Now let's finish with Chapter 7 of My Brother is a Superhero. Chapter 7, The Legend Begins. It was 2:47 p.m. the following Saturday when Zach finally did something properly heroic. I know it was exactly 2:47 because we'd just been to Crystal Comics and were waiting at the bus stop right outside it on the high street. For the first time ever, I persuaded Zach to come with me to the comic store, telling him if he wanted to understand how to be a superhero, then who better to teach him than Spider-Man and Batman? Afterwards, clutching a bundle of new comics, we waited for the 227 bus. It was due at 2:47, and it was on time. That's unusual, I remarked. It's not that unusual, said Zach, who took more buses than me. The 227 is actually quite punctual. I don't mean that, I said, pointing. Look! The bus hurtled down the road, swerving wildly from side to side, its horn blaring like a frightened animal. It bounced off the curb, sending people on the pavement fleeing in terror, then tore past a line of cars waiting at the lights, snapping their side mirrors like a giant pulling wings off a fly. As it plunged towards us, I saw the driver wrestling with the wheel, his face white with fear. In a flash, I guessed what had happened. The brakes had failed. The door to the comic book store flew open and a gaggle of boys poured out to see what all the commotion was about. The bus clipped a parked car and went up on two wheels. A hubcap shot off like a sidewinder missile, flying over the head of a policeman and crashing through the window of the hardware store. The bus was half on its side, its metal bodywork screeching against the road, leaving a trail of sparks behind it like a lit fuse to a bomb. Zach, I whispered, you have to do something. He flipped up his hood and strode purposefully out into the middle of the road, directly into the path of the oncoming bus. A few of the boys from the comic book store started to point. Look at that idiot! What's he doing? He's going to get himself killed. The last speaker, a red-haired boy with freckles, whipped out his mobile phone, tapped the video camera icon, and began to record. Zach planted his feet and stretched out both arms. He was going to use his telekinetic power to stop the runaway vehicle. I'd seen him use it to move a torch and peel a potato, but they were nothing compared to a double-decker bus. I almost couldn't look. He lowered his head, concentrating fiercely, summoning his superpower. The bus kept on coming. The noise of tearing metalwork was dreadful, and then, just as it seemed about to flatten Zach, something incredible happened. The nose of the bus rose up, quickly followed by the rest. Zach stood there, arms extended like a weightlifter, the enormous double-decker hovering above his head. The high street on a Saturday afternoon is a noisy place, but at the moment it felt utterly silent, save for the creaking of the suspended bus and the squeak of its spinning wheels. The pavements were filled with gawping pedestrians. Drivers stopped their cars to stare in slack-jawed amazement. Zach lowered the bus gently to the ground. The excitement was too much for the old vehicle. There was a groaning of joints and its suspension sagged. The hydraulic doors opened with a sigh like a dying breath, and the passengers emerged on unsteady legs, dazed but otherwise perfectly unharmed. The comic store boys were the first to find their tongues. Like me, they'd been waiting and dreaming their whole lives for something like this to happen. They started to cheer madly. The rest of the street joined in, applauding and whooping. I stood on the edge of the cheering boys, not that any of them paid me the slightest attention. They were almost laughing with excitement. "Did you see that? That was incredible! Who is he?" I covered my mouth and coughed. "Starlad." "I think he's called Starlad," said one. "Starlad? Cool," said one more. "Shame he doesn't have a cape," said another. I gritted my teeth. "Do you think he'd sign my comic?" the red-haired boy with freckles wondered aloud. As soon as he suggested the idea, the whole bunch seemed to decide it was a very good one, and they all ran towards my brother, waving their latest issues of Justice League and X-Men. I tagged along. Not that I was bothered about getting his autograph. I just wanted to make sure Zach didn't mess up his first contact with the public. As I drew closer, I recognised a face among the last passengers to leave the broken bus. It was Cara Lee. Still stunned from her ordeal, as she stepped off, she missed her footing and slipped. With a yell, she tumbled right into Starlad's arms. "I've got you, miss." I don't think Zach recognised her at first, but as he set her back on her feet, they were face to face, or face to Hoodie, and he saw with a start who it was he'd rescued. "Thank you," she breathed. He ducked his head, and she shot a curious glance at her hooded saviour, and for a moment I was sure that she'd recognised him as her slightly weird neighbour. "Have we met before?" she asked. Thankfully, at that moment, Zach was swamped with people clamouring for his attention, and Cara was carried away in the crush. "Starlad!" cried one of the comic store boys, brandishing a copy of The Amazing Spider-Man. "You're amazing," he added, rather unimaginatively. "Wow, the way you stopped that bus," said another, mimicking Starlad's stance and hand action, adding his own sound effects. "Grutch! You used gravity manipulation, right?" "No," said another scornfully. "Bet it was magnetism." "Rubbish," said the next boy. "It was wind." The others looked at him questioningly. "Wind?" He shrugged, a little embarrassed. "Wind control, obviously." "Why are you wearing a brooch?" asked the red-haired boy. "It's not a brooch," said Starlad tightly. "It's a sigil." "Ooh," said all of the comic store boys. The policeman, whose hair had been parted by the flying hubcap, politely but firmly pushed his way through the excited crowd. He wanted a statement from the hero of the hour. A burly fellow with a red face, he took out a pencil and a notebook. "Name, please." "Zach," began my brother, then saw me making a cutthroat motion. "Starlad," he half screeched, half growled. In the treehouse earlier that week, we discussed how he should talk when he found himself in public as Starlad. I told him it was important to disguise his voice so no one could identify him as Zach Parker, and so he tried out a few different voices before settling on a deep, rumbly one. The only problem was puberty. Dad had been right about that. Zach's voice did change, often in the middle of sentences. It croaked up and down like a frog tied to a firework. The constable pulled a face. Say that again. Under his hoodie, I knew Zach was blushing. He cleared his throat and tried again. Starlad. The constable scratched a note in his book. First name Star, surname Lad. Zach started to correct him. No, I didn't mean... Never mind. Would you mind moving your hood, Mr. Ladd? No, Zach said quickly. I can't do that. Why not? Asked the policeman. He stuttered. Uh-oh, I thought. We hadn't talked about what to do if this happened. Zach was going to blow it. I could tell. In 2 seconds, the world would know his real identity. I couldn't look. I'm horribly disfigured, he said at last. I fell into a vat of chemicals and my face is, too ugly to be seen in public. Yeah, that's what happened. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'd never have thought of that so quickly. I did have one criticism, which was that, traditionally, falling into a vat of chemicals created a supervillain, not a hero. But I'd let that pass. Horribly disfigured, you say? Repeated the policeman, squinting and leaning in to steal a glimpse of behind Zach's hood. Zach drew sharply on the cords that closed his hood. It came down like a steel shutter. Yes, he said flatly. Hideous. The policeman drew back and coughed, a little embarrassed. He made a show of starting a fresh page in his notebook. So, Mr. Ladd, can you explain how you, He waggled his pencil with the air of a man who knows he's about to ask something very, very daft, but can't help himself because rules are rules. How you made the bus rise into the air? Telekinesis, said Zach. Around him, most of the crowd murmured in amazement. However, the comic book boys nodded knowingly. Right, said the policeman with a doubtful expression, his pen poised over his notebook. And how are you spelling that? There was no time for Zach to answer, because just then a voice rang out from the crowd. Where is he? Where is the wonderful young man who saved my life? The voice belonged to a tiny white-haired old lady. She was wearing a purple and yellow spotted dress that looked like an outbreak of some nasty disease and was using a walking frame like a battering ram to muscle her way to the front of the crowd, leaving a trail of stepped-on toes and knocked ankles. She stood before Zach. I want to give you something, she said, rummaging in a handbag the size of a small moon. That's really not necessary, madam, he said, holding up a hand. I don't accept cash or gift tokens. I do this for the good of all mankind. We'd rehearsed that. The bit about mankind was mine. But the old lady wasn't reaching for a purse. Instead, she fished out a lipstick, which she popped open and smeared across her wrinkly lips. She puckered them for a kiss. I'm 93, you know. The crowd watched expectantly. That's the problem with old people. They get away with anything because they're nearly dead. I knew that Zach had fantasized about rescuing Carly and being rewarded with a kiss. The reality was 79 years older and crinklier. He dipped his head so that the old lady was enveloped by his hood. There was an awful slurping from within. As one, the comic book boys winced and made a sound like sour milk circling down the drain. But everyone else cheered. Clearly, this is what the public wanted from their superheroes, to rescue Saturday shoppers from runaway buses and kiss old ladies. Mobile phone cameras snapped the moment. I think I even saw someone throw a hat in the air. It was either a hat or a hamster. And that's how it happened. Thanks to poor maintenance of the 227 bus and Mrs. Doris Stevens, 93 of Station Road, opposite the Loon Fung takeaway, the legend of Starlad was born. See you tomorrow, Year 3.